Izzy's sound asleep now.
She'll be up and about in a bed, no doubt, causing all manner of mayhem.
Naughty little Izzy.
We're not going to deny it's been tough.
But intensely rewarding at the same time, of course.
And we're not going to lie. Izzy isn't exactly what we envisaged our child to be.
But what child is what you envisage? I mean, isn't that the point? That they're this own special little person? And in a way, Izzy's far more than either of us could have ever imagined.
You can certainly say that.
What's that supposed to mean, Simon?
I was simply agreeing with you, dear.
I hadn't gone for any prenatal scans.
She refused.
Point blank, didn't want to know, so it was a total surprise.
Surprise? Understatement of the century.
I thought, whatever this baby is, I'm going to have it.
Yeah, it's almost like she knew.
No, Simon, I didn't know.
But you had an intuition something was wrong, didn't you? Now come on, Zoe, you did say that.
I had an intuition something might not have been right, but I had no idea what.
Right.
And I had no idea.
Sure, it's fine.
Do you seriously think I knew?
Of course I don't.
Let's not air our dirty linen in public, Simon.
So it came as a total shock when out she popped.
Out she popped.
You know what I mean?
No, Simon, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean, and neither will anyone watching this. Babies do not simply pop out.
Okay, my bad. Wrong choice of words.
Reveal a lot though, don't they?
So there we were in the delivery room, and there, on the bed, between Zoe's legs, was this thing.
Excuse me, are you referring to our daughter as a thing?
Dear, I'm merely trying to paint a picture, set the scene. Because there we were, expecting what we'd always been led to expect. But instead there was this small pink creature. And when I say creature, I'm merely describing my honest first impression, because that's how it looked. I mean, really, that's what it was, because it wasn't human. Now, come on, Zoe. Izzy isn't human, is she?
I think Izzy challenges our very notions of what it is to be human. I think Izzy in a way disproves the whole concept of being human and the arbitrary distinction we draw between ourselves and other animals, because really, when it comes to it, we're just one mammal among many.
You and me, baby, we ain't nothing but
Thank you, Simon.
Nobody knew exactly what the hell Izzy was at first.
Because when they're young, they don't really look like they do when they've grown up. They don't have any fur, and they don't have the long tail, just this little stump.
One of the nurses screamed and bolted out of the room.
Must have been new.
But apart from that, everyone else was weirdly calm, weren't they?
Except for me, I burst into tears.
She did, yes.
Not because of how Izzy looked, but because she wasn't moving.
Now, come on, Zoe. Be honest.
I am being honest.
You were disturbed by her appearance. I could see it in your face.
Just because you were disturbed by her appearance, Simon.
Disturbed? I was horrified.
Was I disturbed by Izzy's appearance? Maybe slightly.
And that's nothing to be ashamed of, Zoe. After all, you're only human.
But my overriding, overwhelming emotion was just this intense, blazing, all-consuming maternal love, because she was my daughter, and I loved her no matter what she was.
The doctor carefully placed Izzy on a little silver tray and hurried out, closely followed by everyone else in the room.
We were just abandoned, really, weren't we?
I sat with Zoe, held her hand, told her it was all going to be okay. Of course, in an earlier age, Zoe would have probably been burnt for being a witch.
Yes, Simon thinks it's very funny to keep reminding me of that.
She's very lucky, that's all I'm saying.
Sorry, I'm lucky to not be burnt for being a witch.
Well, at some point later that night, whilst Zoe was asleep, one of the nurses came in and whispered for me to follow her. She took me to this top floor, to this little office where the doctor was sat, alongside another bloke, a rather random, geeky-looking guy in a New Order t-shirt. The doctor gestured to him and said, "This is Professor such and such."
That's not his real name, by the way.
He's a mammologist from Imperial College, so I'm thinking mammologist, huh? You know, what the fuck? So the doctor turns to the mammologist and says, Professor such and such has something to tell you. But of course the mammologist looks nervous. He obviously didn't expect to be the one to break the news, so to speak. So he says, I don't know how to tell you this, Mr. Farrow, but your wife has given birth to a rat.
Simon just laughed, didn't you, Simon?
I did. It's true. What can you say to that?
It was about a week before I was allowed out of hospital, after much stamping of feet, mine. And as I got into the car, with Izzy asleep in a little cage on my lap, do you know what the first thing Simon said to me was?
Don't tell him this!
He said to me, "Just tell me, Zoe, did you fuck a rat?"
Oh, Jesus, I've apologised a million times, haven't I?
They'll all be shocked at you, Simon. You've disgusted them.
Look, it was horrible of me. I know that.
I just burst into tears.
Look, every man watching this would have said exactly the same thing in my shoes.
No, they wouldn't.
Come on, guys, you would, right? Be honest.
Don't judge everyone by your own base standards, Simon.
What was I supposed to think? I'm not defending myself. I'm just...
Although as it happens...
Sorry?
I didn't know how to tell you this, Simon. So ashamed. But you know what it's like, girls. You're waiting at the very end of the platform at Tottenham Court Road on a Friday night, waiting for the last Northern Line train home. You've had a few too many drinks at the office party. And then you see this rat scampering about on the tracks and you think, I'd like a bit of that. So you lift up your skirt, don't you, girls? And you slur, "Come on, gorgeous, up you come." I'm joking.
I know. No, I knew you were.
You believed me, didn't you?
No, I did not. No, I'm just appalled, frankly, that you can be quite so vulgar.
Simon, you've woken her up. Izzy, darling. Good girl. Good girl. Go back to sleep. The most striking thing about Izzy, of course, is her insatiable curiosity. She's less than a year old, and already she's off gallivanting about, exploring and delving into little nooks and crannies. She's ever so energetic, and her eyes are alive with this fierce intelligence. It's really quite remarkable of a child her age, isn't it? Simon.
Do you want to hear something really funny? Yeah, this will crack you up. Just outside our flats, there are these big bins that everyone on the estate uses, and at night they're just crawling with you-know-what. Now, guess who's been on the phone haranguing the council to get Izzy's cousins exterminated?
He means me, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, her. Now, isn't that ironic?
And how exactly is that ironic, Simon? Please tell us, we'd all love to know. Those rats have nothing to do with Izzy. They're not her cousins. Millicent and Jacob are her cousins. Those rats are vermin. I don't want them dead, poor things, but they carry diseases and we've got her daughter's health to think of.
No, what Zoe is actually worried about is that those rats might one day get into our flat and then they'll whisk Izzy away with them.
Don't be ridiculous.
Yes, yeah, Izzy will scuttle off after them down the toilet, down into the depths of the London sewage system, there to gamble around merrily in the dark, eating shit and fucking other rats for the rest of her short and squalid little life.
Clearly this is what Simon wishes will happen.
Yeah, and perhaps it's what Izzy wishes will happen. Yeah, I haven't told Zoe this, but a few nights ago I went into the kitchen to get myself a glass of water, and as I looked out the window, down at the ground, there was a long line of rats directly below. They were all staring up at our window, right at me, yeah, eyes glistening in the moonlight, and they were all squeaking in unison, beckoning Izzy to join them.
Bollocks they were.
Izzy's a rat, Zoe. She's a fucking rat.
You can't help judging her, can you?
I'm not judging, I'm describing.
But you can't love her unconditionally, can you? And here's the thing. If she hadn't been born a rat, there'd have been something else that would have disappointed you. She'd have been disabled or a bit slow, or else she'd have been a perfectly bright, healthy, pretty young girl. And one day, she turns to you and says, "Daddy, I'm a lesbian."
I wish.
Oh, well, you say that now. I mean, it's easy enough to say that now, isn't it? But I think actually in that case you wouldn't think, well, at least she's not a rat, would you?
I think it's unbelievably crass of you to compare rats with lesbians, Zoe. I'm deeply sorry if anyone watching is offended by that.
I wasn't. Don't you twist my words, Simon. Look, it's It's not good for Izzy to hear us bickering all the time. She'll grow up with issues. Oh God.
What?
She's gone. Izzy, darling. Izzy, come to Mummy.
Here, kitty, kitty.